Women have not invested nearly as much as men have. It has cost women hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars over the course of their lives. And by helping them invest in building a capability and a product 1,000% around them, we really believe that we're making a difference. If you want to do something great for individuals and for society and for communities, you get more money to women, and that's part of what we're really working to do.
Now that we've heard from you on that, I'd love to come back to a subject we've dealt with you on a few times. Not that we won't talk more about the company, but this morning I've been reporting on Leslie Moonves. What's the board's role here in these ongoing crisis, if you want to call it that, where allegations have been made, not necessarily all proven, and a CEO's job is on the line?
Yeah, well, look, the board needs to dig in and really do the right thing. I think what we're starting to see is that these issues where there's been predatory behavior and sexual harassment are not just, bad and people need to be booted for them. They're really bad for business. And they're bad for business, and we can see it, in terms of these crises. But to be perfectly honest, they're also bad for business because they can lead to lower diversity within these companies. And, the research around this is more than compelling, which is the diverse teams lead to higher returns, lower risk, greater innovation. Diversity is so powerful. Gender diversity and diversity of all kinds, the diverse teams outperform smarter teams. And the research is right there. And yet, if we have cultures that make people feel unincluded, then we are giving up performance. And I think that's I'm going to take you back to Ellevest. And I think that's part of why we're seeing success at Ellevest, which is that, we can try to hire in ways that make us as leadership team feel comfortable. So we'll just end up hiring people just like ourselves. But what I'm trying to do, as I like to say, as a recovering research analyst, is let the research speak to us about what drives performance. And you know what drives performance that a lot of people don't tap into? Diversity.
Right. And I mean, all the research shows this. Christine Lagarde has been talking about this. Just wanted to share with you a quote. She put out a blog post on the 10-year anniversary of the crisis after Lehman Brothers on female leadership and lack thereof in banks. Female leaders, she says, would be more prudent, less inclined to take the kinds of reckless decision-making that provoked the crisis. So here we are. Maybe banks are in a healthier position financially, but ethically, are they in a better position? And where are the female leaders, Sallie?
Well, diversity and gender diversity in particular after the financial crisis actually went backwards. It went backwards. And we sit here today and, men are fantastic and terrific. But do we really believe that, they are better for all, such a majority of these top jobs overall? And is there anyone who really believes that if we'd had greater cognitive diversity in the industry in the run-up to the financial crisis, that it would have been worse? And cognitive diversity is driven by diversity of background, of education, of gender, of color, of orientation. And so, no, the financial crisis, I think, we all believe intuitively, and I think the research really backs us up, would not have been worse if we'd had greater diversity.
No, and maybe banks would have been in better shape, and we still haven't, we're still dealing with issues like Wells Fargo and the fraudulent account scandal and all of these. And it really goes across the S&P 500. It feels like we've gone backwards this year in terms of female CEOs leaving top posts and not promoting other female CEOs. Why are we going in the wrong direction as we're having this conversation around Me Too gripping all sorts of industries like David's media industry?
Yeah. Well, I think most boards and most CEOs get that diversity is a positive, and they say the right things, and they mean the right things. But, I think middle management is where diversity goes to die, where individuals, sort of get that they should hire people that aren't quite like themselves, but it's not something they do often. And so when that individual comes along, it just reminds them so darn much of themselves when they were younger. That's such an intuitively obvious hire for them that they tend to and I'll hire the next person will be diverse. And so there's a counterintuitive finding here, which is that meritocracies are actually the least diverse of businesses, which just doesn't seem to make any sense, because you think if it's a meritocracy, the numbers will speak for themselves. And if all this research about diversity is correct, then diverse leadership teams will rule. But in fact, our inherent biases, I don't love the word, but our inherent biases override, and we tend to hire people like ourselves.
And Sallie, finally, on hiring itself, I mean, you're in a very competitive market. Some other CEOs certainly are complaining about a lack of qualified entrants, in part because of the crackdown on immigration. How difficult is it right now out there to compete for talent?
Well, look, it's never easy to find great people, but when you are building a company that is mission-driven, that is addressing a large market as we are, where we are moving fast, we're building something that we believe is really great, and the early results were sort of, we've been launched for, call it a year and a half, are fantastic. Then you find that you can hire people. And what we're doing is we're building a team that looks like our clients. So we are 2/3 women. We are 40% people of color. We're really working to reflect the clients as they are and America as it is today, not America from 1952 and not America from the existing industry. And what we find is the innovation that we see from our team is actually off the charts as a result of it.